Everyone knows the mask, the organ, the chandelier, the man who lurks beneath a Paris opera house, in love with a woman who is terrified of him, but almost no one knows how he got there. This is the real story of the Phantom of the Opera, written by Gaston Leroux in 1910, and it is stranger and sadder than the musical ever let on. Because underneath the mask was never a monster, it was a child the world decided, before he ever did a single wrong thing, was too horrifying to love. Let me show you. He was born in a small town in France with a face so disfigured that his own mother could not bear to look at him. She had a mask made for him before he could even walk, not to protect him, to spare herself the sight of him. He grew up being paid by his own father, never to be seen. No embrace, no kiss goodnight. Only the mask, and the silence of a house that wished he had never been born. By the time he was a young man, he had run from home and joined a traveling fair, where showmen displayed him in a cage as the living corpse, a horror for paying crowds to gawk at. Here's what almost no one talks about. While the world was busy being disgusted by his face, it never once noticed what was underneath it. A genius. He could sing with a voice so pure it did not sound human. He could compose, he could build. He was an architect, an engineer, an illusionist, capable of trapdoors, of hidden passages, of magic that looked like sorcery to everyone who watched. He escaped the fair and wandered the world, selling his brilliance to sultans and princes who paid for his tricks and torture devices, and feared him exactly as much as they used him. Eventually he came home to Paris, and he found a building being built that would change everything. The Palais Garnier, the new Paris Opera House. He did not apply for a job. He did not ask permission. He simply helped build it, secretly, from the inside, carving out passages and trapdoors and a hidden lake far beneath the foundations that only he would ever know existed. When the opera house opened to the public, its architect took his final bow, but its true architect never left. He simply vanished into the walls he had built and made his home in the darkness underneath the building where an entire city came to be dazzled. For years, he lived there, unseen in a house on the edge of an underground lake, coming and going through passages no one else knew existed. The staff, who occasionally glimpsed a shadow or heard a disembodied voice or found a note demanding money, gave him a name. The opera ghost, they meant it as a superstition. It was a man. A lonely, brilliant, unloved man with nowhere else in the world he was allowed to exist. And then one day he heard a voice that stopped him where he stood. A young singer named Christine Daae. Her father had died when she was a child, and on his deathbed he had promised her that once he was gone, he would send her an angel of music to guide her. She was young enough and grieving enough to believe him. The phantom, alone in the walls, heard a girl waiting for an angel that would never come. So he became one. He spoke to her through the walls of her dressing room, careful never to be seen, and told her he was the angel her father had promised. Christine believed him completely. For months, in secret, the unseen angel trained her voice, and it transformed her. The shy chorus girl became the finest soprano the Paris Opera had ever heard. Consider what this actually was. For the first time in his entire life, a person that a man had never allowed her to see his face was giving him her full attention, her trust, her devotion, night after night. He was not visible. He was not touched. He was not held. But for the first time since his own mother turned away from him, he was wanted. It could not last. Christine had a childhood friend, Raoul, a young nobleman who saw her perform and fell in love with her instantly. When he found his way backstage and Christine recognized him, old affection sparked into something new. The angel of music, listening from behind the walls, heard every word. And for the first time, jealousy entered a heart that had never before had anything worth being jealous over. He revealed himself to Christine at last, not as an angel, but as a man leading her down through a mirror in her dressing room, into the passages below the opera house, to the underground lake, to the home he had built entirely alone. And there, for the first time in his life, he let someone see his face. Christine tore the mask away herself, out of fear, out of curiosity, and what she saw made her recoil in horror. He did not attack her. He collapsed. A grown man, brilliant enough to have designed the very walls around them, broke down sobbing on the floor of his own home because the one person he had ever let close enough to see him confirmed what he had always been told, that he was unlovable. He let her go that night. But something in him had changed, and not for the better. The opera's new managers refused to honor the strange traditions of the opera ghost, the reserved box, the monthly payment left in an envelope. They mocked him publicly, and so, to prove he was not a ghost to be ignored, he did something unforgivable. During a performance, the opera's enormous chandelier came crashing down into the audience, killing an innocent stagehand. This is the moment the story stops being a tragedy about a lonely man and becomes something darker. Because the truth the book insists on, the truth the musical softens, is that he was capable of real cruelty. He was not purely a victim. He had been made into someone dangerous by a lifetime of rejection, and now that danger was real. When Christine was set to marry Raoul, the Phantom's jealousy became desperate. He kidnapped her from the stage itself, pulling her down through a trapdoor in front of a horrified audience, back to his home below the lake. He begged her to stay with him forever, to marry him, to choose him freely. When she refused, he did not let her leave. Raoul followed, tracking secret passages into the depths of the opera house to save her, and fell straight into one of the Phantom's own torture devices, a mirrored room designed to drive a man mad with heat and thirst and his own reflection. The Phantom gave Christine an impossible choice. Agree to marry him, or watch the man she loved die slowly in the chamber he had built. She could have refused. She could have hated him completely and let hatred be the final word between them. Instead, she did something no one in his entire life had ever done. She looked at his ruined face without flinching, and she kissed him. Not out of fear, not as a bargain, gently on the forehead, the way you would comfort a child. It was, by his own account, the first kiss he had ever received in his life, and it undid him completely. He wept. A man capable of murder, of kidnapping, of a lifetime of quiet menace, broke apart at a single act of ordinary human tenderness. He let them go, both of them. He released Raoul from the torture chamber, gave Christine his blessing to marry the man she actually loved, and asked for only one thing in return: that when he died, she would come back, just once, and bury the gold ring he had given her, along with him. Weeks later, according to the story's own framing as a true event, the author claims to have investigated. A skeleton was found in the cellars beneath the Paris Opera House, a gold ring on its finger. He had died alone in the dark, in the home he had built with his own hands, the same way he had lived nearly his entire life. Except for one difference: he died having been kissed, having been forgiven, having been, for one single moment before the end, treated like a man instead of a monster. Here is the question this story has been asking the entire time, underneath the trapdoors and the chandelier and the mask. Was he a killer? Yes. Was he dangerous? Undeniably. But ask yourself what created that danger in the first place, not the disfigurement. The mask his own mother made him wear before he had done a single thing to deserve it. The cage at the fair, the years without a single embrace, a world that decided before he ever spoke a word that he was something to recoil from. Christine's one act of kindness could not undo a lifetime of cruelty, but it was enough to show him, for a moment, what his whole life might have been if just one person had looked past the mask sooner. The real horror of the Phantom of the Opera was never the man in the shadows. It was every single person who had the chance to be kind to him first and chose fear instead. And the most haunting part of all is this: it took him decades of solitude, jealousy, and even violence to earn one moment of tenderness. Christine gave it to him in seconds. He spent the rest of his short life grateful for it.